You're listening to this episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. It would greatly benefit the show. Hello and welcome to Movie Baiters with the Farx brothers. I'm Kirk.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're joined by Tricia Buerke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it.
Because I always get it wrong. That's the running joke.
Always get it wrong?
Yeah, I get it wrong a lot.
Hey, be grateful and be positive. That's our attitudes.
Yeah. Well, Tricia is a producer, actor, and up-and-coming director.
Why'd you pick this movie? And I want to couch this question. I like that the guest picks the movie because I feel like it gives them an advantage over us. I'm inviting you into my man cave and, asking you to argue with me about a movie we both just watched. Yeah. So why, Tricia, did you pick Killing of a Sacred Deer?
When I first watched it, it was so bizarre in like the most calm way possible, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like as an actress, like I'm always like focused on the acting more than anything at first. And just the way that everything was so like monotone was mind blowing. I thought it was so cool. So that's the main thing. And then other than that, this movie revolves around, a lot of things, but specifically like the loss of control. And that's also what like mirrors, should I still claim I have mind powers? So like wanting to watch something that was still in the same realm of things that I'm working on. The other movie that I had in mind was the movie Men.
Oh,
yeah, I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's a wild one.
Yeah.
Where he turns into a tree person at the end. I don't care what's funny. I don't like that movie. So.
That movie, I oofed, man. I was thinking about like, okay, which movie should I talk about? And I was like, Men. And I was like,
Men are bad and weak, and I get it. But then he made 2 war movies after, although that does show men are bad and weak after too. So Alex Garland directed Men, or directed Men, and he made Warfare and Civil War right after Men, I think it was. Your relationship to Yorgos Lanthimos, I want to come back to the monotone thing, but which of his other movies have you seen?
None.
What?
Nope. I haven't seen Poor Things yet.
Or The Lobster?
Nope, haven't seen that. It's on my list. Okay. I will say I do have the attention span of a gnat, and I suffer from what I like to call as like watching anxiety, where if I don't really know what's going to happen, I don't really know if I want to watch it if I'm not in like the correct mood for it.
Oh, that's fair.
So like I watch a lot of reruns of things because I'm like,
How do you tell, like, I've heard this in terms of like trailers. Like a good trailer doesn't tell you the story, it tells you the tone, so that you know, is this the flavor of tone that I want to go in for?
I watch a lot of horror movies. That's a majority of what I watch.
That doesn't add to your anxiety. Horror, I feel like adds a lot to
it calms me
anxiety.
down.
Wow.
Same.
All right.
Same, because like my problems in the real world, like as we were switching between episodes, I was like, I got to change a work meeting tomorrow, but like that's not as big of a deal as like, someone wants to axe murder me.
Yeah.
Sure, but the anxiety of like being jump scared or something scary right around the corner.
I think it's more of like getting jump scared and feeling that adrenaline and knowing that that's going to go away in like 5 seconds versus like real life. And you're like, I'm going to hold on to this for 5 years and then talk to my therapist about it. Like, so it's more of the like excitement of getting that really, really fast and then it leaving.
It has a deadline in some ways. You know it's coming. It's going to come. You're going to experience it. And
I also really love, like I said, I like watching like the really bad, funny B-rated horror movies, but also like the really like Hereditary, like the ones that you can watch over and over and you're like, this is messed up. And that's kind of Killing of a Sacred Deer too, because you kind of have to watch it multiple times to get like these layers.
I had to do reading to get, so I do read.
do reading.
I know. I went and like read about the Greek tragedy that's referenced in the movie.
Where they kill Athena's sacred stag.
Yeah.
Artemis's. Wait, is it Athena and Artemis's?
I think it's Artemis's.
Well, I mean, all those gods are banging in those movies or in those stories.
They're all related.
Yeah.
Well,
they just come out of each other and then they sleep with each other and then they.
Were you into Greek mythology?
I read a lot of Percy Jackson.
Oh, okay.
That
I
was
saw
a big
those
thing.
movies. Didn't read the books.
Oh God, the movies.
Yeah, the movies are terrible. That's what I hear.
So bad.
I'm sorry. Well, I didn't know
Watch
that.
the TV show.
They were
I think it's
children's
slightly
books.
better.
I'm older than you guys. These books came out after I was done reading books like that.
Rick Riordan. Is that his name? Rick Riordan?
Yeah, the guy who wrote it.
Wrote Percy Jackson. He also wrote like So there was the Percy Jackson series, there was like the Roman mythology series, and then there was the Egyptian mythology series, and they're all very good.
Emily Dickinson's granddaughter wrote something like a pilot like that, where it's like someone traveling back to like different historical times. She lives locally, and I've met her at festivals.
Do you know the title? Do you remember the title?
No, I don't. And her name also starts with an E, and it's escaping me, so I apologize if you hear this, ma'am. But I just remember her story being very much like that when I saw her at Catalyst in two different cities, and she had a story. It won in Catalyst Lake Placid in 2024. So I remember her laudits, but I will tell her not to watch the Percy Jackson movies if we end up talking about her project.
Not great.
Okay, the monotone nature in this movie an interpretation that I read was that it suggests that rationality is insufficient for true justice or fatherhood or holding control of situations.
I see that. The entire movie is very transactional, and I think that monotoneness plays to it, and then also it gives such extreme levels to even the most like slight fluctuation of any emotion coming in, of like, is this the spoilers part?
No, this is the non-spoilers part. I'm sorry.
I won't. No, it's okay. But like just that, everything being transactional, and then like slight fluctuations of like it doesn't have to be like this extreme blowout. It's just something happening, and you're like, oh, good God, he lost control. Like he's gone for like that hot second, and then it'll like circle back around.
Oh yeah, I guess Steven, Colin Farrell's character, does lose control, and part of as we find out, this story is turning on the question of if he had control of the situation. Do we think that the monotoneness and what you're describing serves some level of detachment, which is a metaphor for modern life, and how we're like, you recorded another podcast this week, but you recorded it with somebody who lives several states away from you. So you were literally detached, but because of technology, you're practically in the same room.
Yeah. I also think that like it shows, oh God, my brain is like, him being a doctor, it's such like nope, I completely lost what
Doctors think they're gods.
Basically.
Yeah,
because they have a lot of control over people's lives.
Yeah.
Bait me.
I didn't see that as much, because he didn't seem like, sure, as the movie goes on, he does appear like he doesn't want other people's opinions, because he thinks he's the best.
You're an ophthalmologist, Greg. If I needed an opinion about my eyeballs.
Lost it.
Yeah,
I was like, you talk to your wife? Like,
yeah.
God damn.
But even at home, he talks the same way. So in some ways, is he always kind of on? Is he always a doctor, being precise, being, cutting it, being very clinical?
Yeah, I think that is the implication.
So
and then things spiral out of control.
I don't know. I'm wondering, does he love his wife? Does he love his kids then? Or is it, because they also respond the same way too, so maybe they do?
Yeah, everyone in kind of all of Yorgos Lanthimos' movies. I heard a comparison made to David Lynch. Will tell people to specifically, or used to, may he rest in peace, give monotone flatter performances on purpose, because he wants the weirdness to stand out. This is an interpretation, and then everyone kind of being nonchalant in a way makes it like, well, they're not treating all this weirdness like it's so weird. What's going on?
Yeah, it just adds to that like psychological horror that is there, and it just builds and builds, and it's like, I don't like how little emotion they have in their voice right now. Like, I would be screaming. How dare you?
Is this a comedy or is this a horror? Or a thriller?
I would say it's a psychological horror.
Okay.
I wouldn't really say that it's I laugh at things that aren't funny.
Well, I definitely didn't laugh during this movie.
No.
I laughed a bunch. I watched the first
parts?
half with you.
What parts?
Yeah, go on. Without spoiling it. Yeah.
It's funny to me, the mortal things that they have to deal. Well, and I already said the eyeball thing when he's like being a jerk to other people. The way he interacts with his wife is funny to my wife and I, because it's so alien to how we've seen successful relationships look and how ours is.
I will say the other thing that made me laugh, I'll try to say it without spoiling it, is the scene with the wife in the car later in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Wife in the car. Okay.
With the anesthesiologist.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I laughed out
mortified.
pretty hard there.
I laughed and I went, her own goddamn car.
Yeah, wow.
That's just so gross. But yeah, I think it would be a horror, psychological horror.
I'm arguing comedy because The Lobster's a comedy, The Favorite is a comedy, Poor Things is a comedy.
You think that Killing of a Sacred Deer is a comedy?
I think that he's kidding, and the comedic sensibility is to bring a Greek tragedy to Cincinnati. Well, see?
Wow, that rhymes. Yeah, that's funny.
No, not because it's a near rhyme, first and foremost. But the second and third most, gosh darn it. We got a Greek guy making a movie about an Ohio doctor, and he's translating a Greek tragedy from, I think this would be 2,500 years ago is when this, would have been developed. That's funny to me. It's weird and it could be the basis of a horror.
I would argue that's like a premise, not the story.
The premise is comedic.
Yeah, I mean the premise could be comedic, but I didn't laugh during the movie. I didn't find it comedic.
This is like when you didn't laugh in Thunderbolts when that scary thing happened to the child. But the lady the lady next to me did. What'd you say?
It was more shocking than it was comedic.
See, that's the thing with horror movies for me that when you brought up liking horror movies is when I see a well done scare, you've been with me. You've heard me laugh. I giggle
well done scare.
Yeah, like, oh man, they cut that together well. It came. I knew it was coming, and then it came. Oh, that's so funny. Like that's why I watch the Nun movies and laugh so hard, whereas you and the other Conjuring stans are like, wait, you're scared of the Nun?
I not scared. I just get too overwhelmed by how loud like theaters are. Yeah. So if I watch them in a theater, I'm like this the entire time.
I watch them by myself after everyone goes to bed with the surround sound.
Perfect.
And in the theater.
Love that.
And does it help to be in a well-packed or a less well-packed theater?
I would say it doesn't really matter as long as my back's up against something that I know nobody will be behind.
So you sit in the back row?
Yeah, all the way in the back row.
Yeah.
I used to do that. I actually like
Not anymore.
Well, I like hearing things from behind me now. I like hearing laughs, hearing the gasps, hearing other people laugh when I laugh, kind of thing. I've also had the experience of making something I thought was funny that is a horror movie, and people, I think I've told this story before, it doesn't matter, it relates to Atlanta. I met a woman in Atlanta who was in Duluth with me, and then she went to Atlanta where our movie was playing, and she was there. And when the scary thing happened, it's a baby coming out of a toilet. She, everyone else in the theater was like gasping and like, and she was giggling, and she felt like the crazy person. I was like, no, that's the exact right response, to giggle. That's what I was thinking, So I don't know that I approached these. Maybe that's why I thought this was a comedy. What do you think? Why do you think he didn't want to walk with the dog? Because doesn't she ask him to walk the dog?
One, I think that it could be that he just doesn't like dogs. Two, I think that I specifically took this movie as God versus man, and I think it was specifically to get Kim and her attention and her favor, and like having another animal that could pull that attention, or having another person that could pull that attention was like kind of detrimental to what he wanted to happen, because he just kind of pisses Steven off with like the connection with him and Kim happening throughout the movie.
Oh, Martin and Kim.
Yeah. Did I say Steve and Kim?
Well, Steven's the father.
Steven's the father. Martin and Kim. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's my reason why he wouldn't want to walk the dog, is because Martin just wanted to have Kim there.
So when you say it's man versus God, who's man, who's God?
Man is Steven and God is Martin.
Oh, okay. I will argue in the opposite that Steven is God and Martin is Satan.
Whoa.
Because, hey, you've got this creation and I'm here to test you and ruin it.
Okay.
Yeah, but God in the Bible does most of the punishing, doesn't he?
Steven is a false God. He thinks he's a god because...
Okay, I can see that. I can see that. I can also see like the God versus God of like Steven being like a fake God and then Martin being God, and like the roles flipping through the movie.
Yes. At one point, Steven is over... Well, actually, before the movie starts, Steven is over Martin. And then what you don't expect watching the movie is that Martin to gradually get the upper hand on Steven. I guess if you went into this movie, you would kind of assume something's going to happen. It never justified to me why they had this relationship or what kicked off this relationship.
Between Martin and Steven?
Adult man and a 18-year-old boy.
Yeah, well, you can't go into the reasoning unless you spoil the movie, right?
Well, the movie is somewhat supernatural or has a fantasy element.
Yeah, I would say it's just that's hard to get into without spoiling things.
So do you even know the premise of Poor Things?
No.
Okay. This is how I got my wife to watch it, and are you okay with me telling you the premise?
Yeah, go for it.
They Frankenstein a baby's brain into an adult woman.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
So somebody refers to it as mentally R-worded in the movie.
Yeah.
And so it's a 30-year-old woman going through the stages of like being 0 to 1 to 2 to 3.
Oh.
And it's really funny because it's all the things. It's like there's a lot of nudity and stuff. Not as much violence as some of his other movies.
I would call it horrifying, but yeah, sure, you could laugh at that.
It's a horrifying thing that makes it happen. But the performance is funny.
I mean, I could see the absurdity in the killing of a sacred deer. It's very absurd, and the horror. There's no jump scares. It's very slow, methodical.
Sure. So your argument for why it's horror is that it's patient and it's methodical.
Yeah, like a surgeon.
Like a surgeon.
Yeah.
And your argument for it being a comedy is that it's absurd.
Yeah, it is absurd, but I didn't laugh at the absurdity. Maybe it didn't fall that far into ridiculousness that I would be laughing about it.
I think it's just I went in with a certain calibration of the tone of this guy because he's like, so do you know that in the unemployment in Greece is very high, that people basically live off somewhat of a dole or something like that. And it's fascinating to me when people pull themselves out of Greece onto the national stage because of the amount of unemployment. And like it used to be the center of the world, and now it's not necessarily. Although, we still send ambassadors there, and they're lovely. They invented the Olympics or something like that. Yeah. Is that correct? Did I get that one right?
And I'm not gonna fact check.
That was the Romans.
Man, that gets into like Greek mythology and Roman mythology, and then
dude, they're so similar.
Don't they fight each other? And that's what is that what the Iliad is?
No.
See, I did read for a little while.
Yeah.
Now I'm just trying to prove that.
Now I'm just trying to prove I'm smart. God damn it.
Well, I tried to read the Iliad when I was like a younger boy, and I don't think that was like 12 or 13. And I don't feel like I was smart enough to like I read the words, but I don't like I kind of
these are words on a page.
Sure, and I go like, well, so these are gods, and they're like, to me it was like reading a comic book, but this is this is one of the important works that I've heard about in my school days. Biblical allegories in this. We already talked about God and the devil. You see crosses. I would argue it's because they're at a Catholic school. But
you also, again, without spoilers, there's a specific scene between Anna, the wife, and Martin that is like straight up biblical.
Wait, you say what the Bible story is, even though it would be spoiling, because I think that could tantalize the audience.
I can't say what the story is. Because it's literally like copy paste just as these characters.
Yeah. I don't know which one that is, but I'm not.
It includes a body part.
Body part, okay.
I'm imagining different body parts.
Yeah.
What is the only scene with the wife and Martin?
Well, I'm thinking of their sex life.
Yeah.
Martin?
Oh, Martin.
Martin.
Martin, not Steven. Martin, the boy. Yeah.
Like kiss the feet. That's like. Is that the biblical thing you're thinking of? Oh, I don't. Oh, we'll have to talk about how. Well, that would make him Jesus, or is it something else?
No, I mean that's kind of like the God thing, like the God aspect is
worshiping.
The worshiping part of it.
Okay, I can see that.
Come on, you debater. If you don't agree with that.
No, I see it more. Oh, I guess because you said, what did you say, Savior? I'm saying Savior because I thought Jesus.
I mean, that's what Anna says in the movie, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think
or like that's the vibe that it's going for.
I feel like it's bargaining with God, but they don't realize it's the devil.
Yeah, that could also be it too. Because I mean, again, without spoilers, kind of does the same thing for both Steven and Martin towards the end of like bartering for survival.
Oh, sure.
So like that fake God true God kind of a situation, or devil, or whatever you want to call it.
Can I ask?
Fake God, Satan.
Generally, that got me thinking about, like, how do we feel about gender roles in these movies? Like, why did Nicole Kidman want to do this movie? And, you know, like, what's the higher, like, thought she was sold on? Is it the... let me remember the Greek tragedy. The name of it's somebody's daughter that the dad of
it's like
Iphigenia.
Yeah.
Iphigenia is in the spoiler section. We can talk about who is Iphigenia in relation to this story. Although if people were to go Google it, Iphigenia is a sacrifice. Please, I don't want to explain. You identify as a woman, correct?
Yes.
How do you feel about the depiction of gender roles, having not had the other context of Yorgos Lanthimos' work?
I honestly think that it was exposing, like, the stereotypical, like, naive mindset that women are sometimes, hopefully not as much anymore, but, like, society often tells us of, like, there's this man savior that's going to come in and, like, make your whole life great, amazing, and then every time that you come into contact with him, he's gonna make your life so much better. Like, it shows throughout, like, Kim's specific story arc, and then Nicole Kidman as Anna. I love her eyes. They're so pretty.
Nicole Kidman's?
Yes. In that movie specifically, like, the color...
You like the color correction specifically?
Yes.
I thought it was muted. Kind of like the
But
performances.
her eyes are just like... Her eyes, and then Sonny's, or who plays Bob, his eyes too. Their eyes are very, like, bright.
Yeah, Sonny, the actor, is in mid-90s. Have you seen that movie? I'm going to pretend I'm my mom, and I would argue that the nudity in this movie is gratuitous, and that it's only one side of the gender aisle.
There is no nudity in this movie.
There
What are you
is,
talking
yeah.
about?
She gets naked and, like, I mean...
Technically, are they always in bras?
She gets naked at one point. The first time is she's in a
miss
bra.
This movie?
Did I miss it?
Yeah.
Did I black this out?
Yeah.
The first time was in some covering, but the second time it happened was the time that she got rejected when she was fully nude.
Yeah, maybe she was. Oh, yeah, she's in, like, I don't know. I thought, like, again, I'm pretending I'm my mom. That was gratuitous and unnecessary. I didn't need that to understand that there were troubles in the marriage, or...
I saw it more of, like, a desperation.
Being naked before God?
Because, like, nothing is hiding you at all. So, like, the desperation of, like, this is who I'm giving you literally everything. Nothing's covered, and him, like, denying that just, like, emotionally throws her for a loop. And she's like, good God.
Okay, I'm my mom, and
I'm
trying
my
to
mom.
explain
Okay, I'm my mom.
why I have a problem with why I have a problem. Because, like, I don't care, and
Yeah.
Well,
like, my wife specifically does not care. My wife's policy is that if they're gonna show women, they should show men. If it makes sense.
He is nude.
We
Steven
don't
is
see
nude.
his penis.
If you look hard enough, I'm sure you
No, this isn't like
You
Gone
don't see
Girl.
Nicole Kidman's vagina.
Okay, so
Yeah.
but it's vagina for penis if we're gonna show.
Yeah.
Because everyone, we all have.
Everybody knows what tits look like. God damn.
Because the internet.
Because of the internet. But yeah, technically he's nude in the shower, and then he sits down in a chair and sits there for a while.
Yeah. Yes.
Which I thought was pretty funny.
So I get okay. You've gotten me there. You've beaten both my wife and my mother.
Yeah, wow.
Beaten to death. My wife and my mother.
How will you recover?
No.
How will I recover?
Yeah.
It's my adopted mother. That makes it a little better because we're brothers, so we have the same mother. But how would your mother feel? Our mother feel
About being killed?
No, about like nudity in this movie. I watched Crash when it was like 2000, so like 20 plus years ago when Crash won the Academy Award.
Okay.
Watching it with my mother, and there's Eva Mendes in there, and I think that's the first like core memory I have of like seeing nudity on TV with my mother, and it's like, how are we going to react to it? You're smiling, you have a thought.
Can I one up that story real quick?
Please do.
Please
So my mom, love her to death. She will watch she's watched like Orange is the New Black. There's nudity in that, what have you. The first time that I ever watched nudity with my mother was she surprised me and came to the Hand That Feeds premiere, and I'm topless in that.
Oh, you've done nudity. I'm sorry, I haven't seen it.
No, that's okay. Me and Sully have like an intimacy scene, like a sex scene.
Was there an intimacy coordinator? You were the intimacy coordinator for your own.
I've done intimacy coordinating for theater specifically.
Okay.
And when we were discussing this like scene and like it's this pivotal moment and they're having sex and like other things are happening. Originally it was just gonna be like feet moving under a blanket. I was like, but here's the thing. I enjoy when it's used to like further the plot. Like it's fine. I like there's a purpose for it. As long as there's a purpose for it and it's needed, perfect. Love it. So there was other things happening and it was like this juxtaposition of these two things happening. We planned this whole thing. Sully and I were like, look like we're fucking what have you. And I'm watching this and I turn around and my mother's sitting behind me and I was like, oh dear God, this is the first time that I've ever watched any sort of sex scene with my mother and it's me on that screen.
Nice. Rip the Band-Aid off. Yeah.
And have you addressed this with your mother since then? Like, what was the next conversation?
No.
What was her reaction? Yeah.
We'd love to have her on the pod.
The reaction was, she doesn't like horror movies. So she came to see it because it was like the first feature film that was like showing that I was in.
Yeah.
So she came for support. I'm pretty sure that the only thing she said was, your acting was so good. And that's about it. She doesn't like horror.
Wow.
But also she was, I mean, I wasn't expecting her to be there because she just, it was when it was playing in Duluth during the Duluth International Film Festival. And she just showed up and I didn't have time to warn her like, hey, I'm naked in this movie, just so you're aware.
Wow. That does top me seeing Eva Mendes while watching the Academy Award winning Crash with my adopted mother.
I still think that it's a little bit awkward no matter who it is.
No, like my dad and I have seen lots of like the Seth Rogen comedies when I was in high school.
Oh, okay.
You know, so it's like there's nudity in those. And oh wait, no. I watched Animal House with my mom when I was 14 because I bought it on DVD and like
as a 14-year-old, you bought it on DVD as a 14-year-old.
Yeah, because I had a PS2 and I played it. In, this dates me, not the bait, but dates me. And you know, there's some considerable nudity in. There's an 18-year-old girl playing a 13-year-old girl in Animal House. Yeah, neither of you have seen Animal House. Am I correct?
Yeah, I've seen it, but oof, yeah.
John Belushi, man. He made 2 good movies, and you have to watch them both. You know their movies. Do you know who John Belushi is? You're a young person, so I'm
old and I don't know who he is.
I am so bad at any sort of name ever. Like actors, no fucking clue.
You know who Nicole Kidman is.
Yeah, that's because I wrote her down on my sheet.
Wait, okay, do you have any
I actually know who Nicole Kidman is. That's okay.
We Come to This Place. Oh, wait, you might not know what that is. Do you go to AMC movie theaters? I mean, American movie
free
chain.
ads.
Yeah.
Not really.
Okay, so at the beginning of every American movie chain.
She's the one that walks down the stairs, right?
Yes.
Okay, I know that.
We come to this place. I used to stand up and put my hand over my heart, but people asked me to stop doing that.
Who?
So
I feel like they need to start implementing that in schools. I feel like that needs to be the new Pledge of Allegiance.
We come to this place to be moved, to see something we haven't seen while she's watching a movie that's a remake or like a sequel.
Yeah, literally a remake.
Well, I think it's Creed and one of it doesn't matter. What else is on your notes that we didn't hit in non-spoilers before we move into spoilers?
I think the only other thing was the Groundhog's Day movie.
Oh yeah! Wait, have you seen that movie?
Groundhog's Day? Yeah.
Okay, cool. Bill Murray. It's contemporary of, I guess, 10 years after Animal House. Sorry. How do you feel that's relevant to this movie?
I wrote down, whatever your question was, I wrote down, for sure, an exclamation point.
Oh, like
I don't know what the question was because I was like zoned out at work. But I also think, so what was the question? Hang on, what was the question?
I think the question is, how does Groundhog's Day relate?
Stuck in the cycle.
Yeah, he's living the day again and again. So it's like Martin is living the same trauma.
So I don't think, I mean, it could be Martin, but at one point Martin leaves and it's playing in the background and I think it's more for Steven.
Oh.
Because he's the one that's been like with Martin for who knows how many months after this event happened. And so Martin's like forcing him to sit in that and being like, hey, this is playing. Also, here's my mom.
Please, take my mom.
Yeah, I would have imagined it was more for Martin, because he
does say it's his favorite movie.
Yeah, suffered the same, well, not the same, but he suffered some tragic moment.
Wait, he's 15, or no, he's 18 in 2017, so he's born in the late 90s. I don't buy that. I was going to say, you people born in the 90s. You might be born in the 2000s. Okay, yeah.
How old do you think?
I think you're in your mid-20s.
I'll be 27 next month.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank
I was
you.
not asking, just to be clear, but I know about how old my brother is. And
You better remember my birthday. Come on.
We're going...
We're a month apart. We're a month apart.
I know.
Yeah.
And we're going to celebrate big on both of them. It's important.
Yeah.
This is how the plan gets made.
Perfect.
On the show.
Got to have that evidence to go back to and be like, oh, right.
You've seen Groundhog's Day. You feel it. So you think that Steven's in the cycle. I'm pointing at my brother. And
no, I think
you think Martin's in the cycle, and you think Steven's in the cycle?
I do think Martin's in the cycle, but I think that specific scene... That's him putting Steven into the cycle.
Like the watch puts it, because the watch, the time, like there's a time thing. I don't know that I buy it. Make your argument for Martin, please.
Throughout the whole movie, you're kind of given this vague backstory of Martin's tragic past. His parents, he's living with his now widowed mother. Steve lies to his wife and said his parents died in a car crash. So you're imagining, oh yeah, Martin probably has to relive that night where his dad died in a horrific car crash. Yeah, but not again, spoilers, you could see why he kind of lives day in, day out. I have to be reminded of this. I have to talk to this doctor who might have treated him in the car crash.
I think I know. I'm trying to decide whose side I'm on.
Well, let's hear Tricia's side.
Make your argument again. Yes,
please. My argument is just like, I believe through this movie that Steven believes that Martin doesn't know what actually happened, but Martin knows what actually happened and is just leading Steven on until Steven like stops giving him attention or like things to try to make up for what had happened. So I think at that point things had flipped and he just was like, I really want you to just sit in this because I know you know, like I know that what happened, but right now you don't know that I know what happened. Or right now you don't know that I said that right, that I know what has happened. So I'm gonna just put things into your life that will kind of force that to like sit and like spin. So that's where I went. So I do think it is both, because I mean, if he says it's his favorite movie and he watches it all the time, like he like could be stuck in that. But him leaving specifically, I think was him like, fuck you, sit in that. Like,
I do not have anything, and I'm more interested. I'm completely lost on which side I'm on there, because I hadn't considered the time implications of this movie until just recently in this conversation. So thank you both for.
Well, do they make an importance on the watch, like the time on the watch? Do they say a certain time at all?
No, it's just the idea of an expensive watch, and a watch is for time, and then you have Groundhog's Day with the time thing. And I'm just putting the puzzle pieces together. Should we get into spoilers and like really try? Yeah. Say the name of your crowdfunding again, please.
Oh, should I still claim I have mind powers?
Every time you say it, I think you're asking a question, and I want to go.
It's supposed to be. Yeah.
Yes, I think you should claim you have mind powers to crowdfund this. Get it
Dude,
made
I'm
well.
fucking trying, man.
Yeah, and we'll leave it in the description.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for listening. For more on JK Productions, find us on Instagram at JK Productions Team and on Facebook, JK Productions MN.